What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports here on the Oklahoma channel at the Voice of College Football. In this video, we're going to give you a very early projected record for the Sooners in 2023 based off of their schedule. Here were some of the projections from last season for Oklahoma. You see a 6-6 regular season schedule. Our projection had them at 8-4. I picked them to go 9-3. The FPI had them at 9.1 and 3.4. The over-under was at 9.5. So 8-4, 9-3, that seemed to be where everyone thought this Oklahoma team would be last season. Obviously, didn't work out that way. I knew a lot of weapons on offense coming back, and I thought Brent Venables would kind of get this defense turned around. Thought we'd see some improvements there. And the offense turned out to be pretty good. It was actually the defense that struggled, and that's a big reason, I think, why they did finish 6-6. But you can see the projection there was actually closer than anything else. We'll see how it plays out this season. Again, here is the schedule. This is the scale that we'll be using if the games stay in the white. Those are 50-50 games where I think the spread will be less than a touchdown, less than 20 over 80, games where I think the spread will be 20 or more, 20-29, 71-80. Those are games where I think the spread will be double digits, 10-19 in that range. And then 30-39, 61-70. Those are games where I think the spread will be about a touchdown, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 points in that range. So let's start with the easy games here for Oklahoma. Arkansas State, SMU, Tulsa. And, it's very early in the offseason. I have not done a lot of research on the group of 5 teams. So maybe one of these teams is going to be better than I'm anticipating. I know SMU lost their quarterback. Tulsa, new coach. So, I don't really anticipate any of those teams being a threat to Oklahoma. Potentially, one or two of them might wind up in the blue. Maybe Oklahoma's only favored by 17 or 18 points. But either way, they would be counted as wins because all the blue and green games are counted as wins here when we do this projection. So that really wouldn't affect anything. But again, those are games that Oklahoma has to win. They should win, and they should be favored by a lot. How about games here in the purple? Iowa State, West Virginia, BYU. I do believe the Sooners will be favored by 7 or 8 points in these games. Good news is you get 2 of these at home, Iowa State and West Virginia. Those are games that Oklahoma should be the better team. Again, I know they were not great last year, but you look at what they have coming back. I'm kind of looking at Oklahoma in that second tier of the Big 12, at least right now. I think there's potential they could be in that top tier. But yeah, Iowa State, a team that was young last year, they're going to actually, I think, be sneaky this year. But the games at home for Oklahoma, I think they'll be favored by about 8 or 9. Same thing with West Virginia. And then BYU on the road, I do think Oklahoma will be a clear favorite there. So we're not counting those as wins, not guaranteed wins, but these are games that Oklahoma really needs to win. They should win, and they should be a clear favorite in all 3 of them. And that's really about it for Oklahoma. When you look at the rest of the schedule, the rest of it's kind of 50-50 games. Cincinnati on the road, that's a 50-50 game. Texas, I think Texas, looking at it right now, and you look at last year's game, Texas, of course, is in a tier above Oklahoma, but it's a rivalry game, and you never know what to expect in that one. So I'm putting it in the 50-50 category. If you want to put it down in the yellow, I could understand why you would maybe do that. But I think it's close enough to where this one's a 50-50 game. Texas definitely should be favored, but not by a ton. UCF, a team that was pretty similar to Oklahoma last year. Kansas on the road. I think Oklahoma is the better team, but on the road, you never know. Same thing with Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma is the better team there. Looking at it again right now, I know it's very early in the offseason, but Oklahoma should be better than Kansas and Oklahoma State, but they play those games on the road. And then you look at TCU. I think TCU probably is going to be the better team, but that's a home game for Oklahoma. So that's why it winds up here in the 50-50 category. So, if Kansas, Oklahoma State, if those games were at home, I'd put them in the purple. If TCU was on the road, I'd put it in the yellow. But just the way it works out with the home and away games here, you just got a bunch of 50-50 games here for Oklahoma. I think the spread, again, will be around 3 or 4 points in these games. Maybe a slight underdog on the road at Cincinnati, a slight underdog against TCU, a 4-point, 5-point underdog against Texas. UCF might be a pick'em. Kansas, Oklahoma State, I think Oklahoma will be favored by about a field goal, but you're going to have a lot of close games. You're going to have a lot of games that could go either way, which means, it could be another 6-6 year, or it could be a 10-2 year. It's just really going to depend on how they play in those close games. But to get the projected record, we count the games in the green as wins. 50% for the white, 65% for the purple. Average all of that out, and you get a projection of 8-4. So that is the projection for Oklahoma, kind of right in the middle of what I just mentioned. You know, yeah, 6-6 is a possibility again with this schedule. There aren't a lot of easy wins on the schedule, but there aren't a lot of games that you would say that they can't win. I mean, potentially they could win every game on this schedule. So, you know, 8-4 kind of, I think it's a fair projection. 8-4, 9-3 would probably be my projection. But usually, again, when you do these averages, it does tend to be a more conservative number. So 8-4, the projection for Oklahoma in 2023.